Airborne at Last by S.P.Dorning. "But it's a success, sir," Malcolm Kennison exclaimed. "You've actually built an airship. His Majesty will give you a medal." "No, he won't." "Malcolm," Manfred Pennigigg glared at his servant. How could the man be so daft? Oh yes, he was a man. That's how. "What good is an airship without anyone to fly it? I've been trying to find someone willing to fly the thing ever since we started building it. I haven't found a single gnome willing to even try. Apparently, all but a handful of gnomes suffer from a severe fear of heights, and dwarves are just too heavy. As a result, I need to find a crew that's not scared, that weigh less than dwarves, and are smart enough to be trained in the operation of this thing. On top of all that, the elves have managed to produce a squad of dragon riders. According to reports, they'll be using them in combat in less than a month. It's impossible, I tell you, impossible." "Oh, come now, sir. Not too long ago you were saying an airship was impossible." "Well, I sometimes even amaze myself, Malcolm. It was nothing really. Any gnome with half a brain could have done it. Maybe I am a little quicker about such things, and maybe I have a fewer failings than most." "Your humbleness never ceases to amaze me, sir." "Perhaps I'm a little too modest." Manfred gazed at the boat that hung suspended from the canvas balloon, completely oblivious to the sarcasm that was practically dripping off of Malcolm's statement. The airship wasn't exactly beautiful. In fact, it looked like an oversized dinghy strapped to an extremely large inflated bedsheet. But it was an actual flying ship. "It is quite the achievement, isn't it?" "Quite. You could always pilot it yourself." "That would be totally ridiculous. The king would never allow me to risk putting myself within reach of the enemy. My mind is much too valuable here. Besides, I'm afraid I suffer from the same illness as my brethren. Why do you think I hired you? It isn't your charm. It was so I'd never have to get on a step stool again. Not only is it embarrassing, it's high." "That kind of leaves you with a problem, doesn't it, sir? Perhaps you could automate it somehow, maybe build some kind of Nixon control unit for it." "Of all the ridiculous ideas I've ever heard," Manfred began, then stopped. Malcolm may not have had many good ideas, but he wasn't stupid. Manfred eyed Malcolm through the bushy white eyebrows. A strange idea was settling in the back of his mind. He shook his head. No, that was just crazy. On the other hand, he had found and trained Malcolm to be the perfect manservant. "I really don't like the way you're looking at me, sir." Well, almost perfect, he thought. The fact of the matter was, if he could be taught, and just looking at him, he probably only weighed a quarter of what a dwarf did. Human bones weren't as dense, the muscle not as compacted, and Manfred suspected that their skulls were filled mostly with air anyway. But they could be taught. Perhaps that idea wasn't quite as crazy as he first thought. "Malcolm, is it true that the best and truest shots come from your race?" "I think so, sir. My brethren grew up on the sea. It takes a keen focus to be able to fire a weapon accurately while the ocean is swaying underneath you. Why?" "I think I've found my crew." Manfred circled his manservant, looking him up and down, and as if searching for flaws. "Oh, no, you don't. I'm afraid I lack the marksmanship of my brethren. I do have some small skill in the area, but not enough to be wanting to crew this against dragon riders." "Don't flatter yourself, Malcolm. Only the worst shortage of personnel would I ever dream of lending my own personal manservant to the military. Those buffoons couldn't possibly utilize your abilities to their fullest. But we could find men to fly the ship. And from the stories I've heard, they're probably crazy enough to fly it right down a dragon's throat." Malcolm started to protest, but realized he knew more than a few humans that might actually do just that. "You would have to offer them something worth the risk," he said instead. "That's the king's department. I just come up with the brilliant ideas. It's up to him to bankroll it." The